Arsenal's winning run is over. Their run of not conceding a goal is over, and it's over to the hands of Sunderland, man. Honestly, what a run. What a fairy tale the start of this season has been. Honestly, it's such a breath of fresh air to see a team come up to the Premier League and first and foremost compete, because we haven't seen that for the last 2 seasons, but also take the league by storm the way Sunderland are doing right now. They have fully deserved the point they've got tonight, and they've showed so much fight, so much spirit, and so much poise as well too throughout this game. They're playing the best team in the country at the moment in Arsenal, and at times, honestly, we're going toe-to-toe with them. Now, over the entire course of the game, I think Arsenal played some fantastic stuff. They obviously go up 2-1 in this game. And to be honest with you, I think at 2-1, they probably should see out the game. Not even just at 2-1, maybe even make it 3-1. But ultimately, Sunderland get a last-minute equalizer, and it's none other than Brian Brobbey. But I think today's game is all about one man, and one man only. And that is Dan Ballard. Wow. I mean, I have no words for this guy's performance today. Sensational. First and foremost, former Arsenal Academy graduate at the club till the age of 22 years old. And this performance had a little bit of everything, man. It had a little bit of everything. Grabbed the opening goal in the first half. Then a vital block right at the end before grabbing the assist to Brian Brobbey. He was everywhere and had a part in everything for Sunderland grabbing a point today at the end of the game. Honestly, what a performance from him, and what a performance from a lot of these Sunderland players. Look, they're up against this Arsenal team, who this season have been so good, bro. Honestly, it's so difficult to even get near these guys over a 90-minute game because of the domination they seem to exert on opposition teams, right? There's so much talk about Arsenal being a set-piece team, a team that scores off long balls or whatever, but when you actually watch Arsenal play, and when you even look at some of the statistics, guys, they play the highest line and they play against the deepest blocks. So they really do cage you in. And for smaller teams, with all due respect to Sunderland, to come up against a team like this, it is sometimes suffocating trying to survive 90 minutes against these guys. And look, at one point, it did look like Arsenal were eventually going to get over the line, especially in that period in the second half, right? Once Saka scores that goal, it feels like Arsenal are going to get back into the game. And of course, the Trossard goal comes later on, and it's an absolute screamer. But from then on, I think you'd be forgiven for thinking Sunderland are kind of out of this. But that just sums up Sunderland's spirit this year. They never know when they're beat. At the Stadium of Light this year, unbeaten. I think, what is it? 3 wins, 3 draws. They haven't lost one single time. First and foremost, if you want to stay up in this league, making your home ground a fortress is the way to do it. But I think at this point, look, I know they were talking about Hull City in 08-09, who were so comfortable until October and then won 1 game for the remainder of the season before finally staying up on the last day. Could that happen to Sunderland? Absolutely. But let's be real, guys. They're staying up against West Ham, Nottingham Forest, Wolves, Burnley, Leeds. They're head and shoulders above those teams. And I think the real question for Sunderland is, how far can they take this thing? How far can this fairy tale go, man? Top 4 is, for me, a push. Could they make Europe? I mean, you look at the squad, right? And it's a squad full of talented players. Isidore, though, I really want to point out, as a guy who came into the league this year, to my knowledge, has never played in the Prem. And typically, I do find teams that get promoted tend to almost struggle because the center forward they come up with, who had a good track record in the Championship, isn't able to make up the quality gap between second and first division. There has been no issue in the slightest for Wilson Isidore this season, who has taken to the league so well, man, and honestly leads the line so incredibly well. You look in the midfield, the likes of Siddiqui, obviously Granit Xhaka, the main man in the midfield. Sometimes it's Habib Diarra. Today it was Enzo Lefebvre, who, to be honest with you, was probably the weakest Sunderland player. I thought at times was trying to be a little too cute with some of his actions, when really in a game like this against Arsenal, you got to play straightforward at times, man. There's no time to be dribbling around your own box. There's no time to trying to be doing flicks around your own box. I don't think this was the game for Enzo Lefebvre today, but they have real talent, man. I mean, Mukiele, a Champions League level player. Gertruda, Reinildo, Roofs, who has been unbelievable for Sunderland this season and came up with some big saves, some big claims as well, too, for the Black Cats. And then, of course, when you add all of this with the atmosphere, the stadium that is the Stadium of Light, it's such a perfect recipe. And I'm so happy they're back in the Premier League, because for me, this is proper Premier League Sunderland. This is one of the biggest clubs in England. When you look at the fan base, when you look at the stadium, the history, this is a club that belongs in the Premier League. And I'm so happy that their return to the top division has seen this start to the season. Now, let's talk about Arsenal. Arsenal are brought back to earth a little today, right? Because the last month or so, the last 2 months, they have been flat out untouchable. Teams haven't been able to score a goal against them over the last month. That is flat out ridiculous. And John Terry literally came out recently saying, I'm literally watching every single Arsenal game, wondering where are they going to concede. I'm starting to get worried that my own 15-goal record at Chelsea is going to get broken. That run of not conceding has been ended today, and it's come again, like I said, at the hands of Sunderland. But honestly, were Arsenal bad today? I don't think so. I think they gave it a good go. I think they were dominant in some measures. They grabbed their 2 goals. One of them was an absolute screamer from Trossard. I mean, that just shows you the kind of quality that he does possess. And I think it's a really intelligent run from Calafiori to open up that space in the first place to allow Trossard even an inch to get that shot off. And that followed, of course, Bukayo Saka's first goal in a long time for Arsenal. To be honest with you, Merino, I think he gets away with it a little bit because that pass into his feet, I think the next one has to go to Trossard on the left. And instead, he plays it into Saka, who kind of has a weird angle to score from, but manages to beat Ruffs at the near post. And just like that, Arsenal are up 2-1. And again, like I said, I think from this position, you'd put your house on this team finding a third. I was convinced that even at 1-1, I thought Arsenal are going to win this game 3-1. It just feels like the way things are going this season. But if I'm going to be a little critical today, I think Mikel Arteta and his substitutions, or rather lack thereof, were a little baffling to me. No attacking substitutions at all. In fact, no substitutions the entire game until the 88th minute when he decided to bring on Mosquera for Eze. Basically, taking off a number 10 and bringing on a center back to go 5 at the back for the last 5 to 10 minutes. Am I nitpicking a little? Maybe, but at the same time too, that's a bit of a negative approach, and an approach that's almost inviting more pressure onto yourself. And would Sunderland have grabbed an equalizer right at the death if they didn't do that substitution? Who knows, maybe. But if I am nitpicking, I didn't love that substitution that much from Arteta. You almost want Arsenal in that situation that they were in to just go for the kill. Put your foot on Sunderland's necks, get the 3 points, get out of there, and then watch Man City Liverpool tomorrow with your feet kicked up. It didn't happen. Sunderland grabbed a huge point right at the death, and I wouldn't say this completely changes proceedings at the top of the table because Arsenal are still 7 points clear. But they're 7 points clear now with City having a game in hand. And that game between City and Liverpool tomorrow becomes even more interesting. Now, as you guys can see, Liverpool 8 points behind Arsenal with a game in hand. City 7 with a game in hand as well too. And this game now almost feels like, I mean, to be fair, the Arsenal dropped points almost gives both of these guys a lifeline because even if they do lose, they're still only 8 or 7 points behind. But now, either team that wins this game can really claw back the deficit from Arsenal. I mean, City could go 5 points, Liverpool could go 6. And I know it's still, they're still a hefty chunk behind, but all of a sudden things start to look a little more interesting. So it's not really cause to panic for Arsenal. I don't believe that whatsoever. But this is just kind of like bringing them back down to earth a little bit, I think. Look, I wasn't really impressed with Mikel Merino's performance today, I have to say. I know he's obviously filling in for the injured Gyökeres. Gabriel Jesus and Havertz should be on their way back soon. And when you look at the bench, right, it's not like... The attacking, if I'm being real, right, the attacking reinforcements aren't great. You're looking at a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old. So I don't know. It's tough to be too harsh on Arteta, to be honest with you. But I didn't think Merino played a great game today, even outside. Like I said, his assist to Saka, I think he gets fortunate there. And if I was going to take anybody off, it probably would have been Mikel Merino. I thought Declan Rice, for Arsenal's goal that they conceded in the first half, wasn't great. But I think in the second half, he really showed tremendous quality. And his fingerprints are all over the Saka goal, right? He's the one that just stifles Enzo Lefebvre near his own box, giving the ball to Merino, and then they score from there. Zubimendi and him were both tremendous. Zubimendi with an incredible chance as well, too, to score off the crossbar. I think the one for me right now that I'm not underwhelmed by it to say, but I'm looking for a little more is Eze. I think when Eze signed for Arsenal, I was expecting him to come in and almost be a catalyst to Arsenal creating more chances in open play and being a more adventurous team going forward. And I don't think he's been bad per se, but I haven't really also been overwhelmed by Eberechi Eze. So much so that when Odegaard comes back, I think he takes back his number 10 position quite easily. I think Odegaard will come back into this team quite easily. I don't know whether that means Eze drops to the left or maybe Eze spends some time on the sidelines. That's the beauty of Arsenal. They have so many options. But if I am nitpicking, I haven't really been blown away by Eze yet. I think the best is still to come from him. And games like this, against a team that is going to be so deep like Sunderland were at times, I think this is when you're looking for Eze to be the creative spark that Arsenal bought him for. But I think he's still finding his feet, to be honest, at the club. Outside of that, I mean, look, all you can really do is just salute Sunderland. This was an amazing game to watch as a neutral. They were just back and forth. It felt box to box, chance to chance. And even till the last moment, you felt like either one of these sides could grab a winner. So much so that in the 90-something minute, Mukiele picks up the ball for a throw-in, and he's looking to launch that shit forward, 2-2. Xhaka tells him, yo, slow down. Slow down. We'll take the point. We'll take the 2-2. This guy's trying to launch it forward. Xhaka goes, whoa. We'll take the point, man. And Xhaka, this isn't the game really that maybe you look at Xhaka and say, wow, monster class performance. I thought he was good, but I'm just so impressed with what he's doing at 34 years of age, man. To come back to the Premier League at his age and be as instrumental in the center of the park as he's been for Sunderland on their surge up the table. Real men. Honestly, I got a lot of love for Granit Xhaka, and his first game against his former team, one to remember for sure. But guys, let me know in the comment section down below, what does this mean for Arsenal? What does this mean for Sunderland? How real is Sunderland's chain? Could they make a European push? And as for Arsenal, is this a slip up or is it just a bad day at the office? Let me know in the comment section down below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace.